Some people argue that the fact that she was born in South Africa because she cannot be faulted for her mother's faults or her mother's conduct in obtaining illegal documentation, and therefore some are saying that on that particular technicality, she has a right to come back to South Africa and be a permanent resident or citizen.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I think the big issue here is it's not just any documentation she obtained. It was effectively South African citizenship and a South African passport, which is really the highest status you can have in South Africa. And that was procured by her mother, who was a Mozambique national, who sadly forged Miss Chidimma's birth certificate. So on the face of it, it looked like she was a South African citizen by birth. That obviously came to the fore in rather unfortunate circumstances in the Miss SA finalist competition, because they then ascertained that her South African citizenship may not be regular, and they then dealt with that. That's when Miss Chidimma then took on her Nigerian nationality, which basically put pay to her efforts to try and argue she's still a South African citizen. So she was correctly revoked or deprived of her citizenship by the minister. For once, Home Affairs are correct. And the minister is quite justified to revoke her South African citizenship. What she then did is she tried to get back into the country by misrepresenting her South African citizenship status, got back in. Home Affairs then found her and then sought to detain and deport her. What you have is what Ms. Chidimma did, I suppose, as a last recourse, is to challenge the citizenship matter and her deprivation. I think they're on a hiding to nothing. I think Home Affairs are correct. But what they would probably seek to have is to have her remain in South Africa pending the review of her citizenship. Where she was previously considered a citizen by birth as a result of fraudulent misrepresentation, her lawyers are now trying to challenge and say, well, she could become a citizen by naturalization because she was here from birth till 18. But that's not going to cut it. So in that citizenship case, in the High Court, they would seek that she remains here.
After all is said and done, I suppose, as you indicated, this is going to be quite a process which may be prolonged. But where do you think it will end? Because at the end is expected. But where do you see the direction with regards to where this is likely to end? Will she be declared a South African citizen or given a right to be in the country? Or do you think that the Home Affairs Department will emerge as winners here?
I think that Home Affairs will emerge. It'll take time because they will proceed through the High Court. If they turn down, she can take the matter to the Supreme Court of Appeal. But at the end of the day, you can't get citizenship through an alternative means. You're either a citizen by birth, which would have been if everything was above board, but it wasn't. But to then try a circuitous route to say, I'm now a citizen by naturalization, which is where you say you were a resident or you're here from birth till 18, is not going to cut it. And the minister in this case is justified. And, the department do have a tough job and they have to set a precedent. So both on the citizenship, I think she's going to go down. And on the deportation, the Home Affairs must be entitled to, they have the right to deport, but it must be done lawfully. Ironically, we've seen most recently where they deported Ghanaians, Nigerians, and everyone else in a mass deportation. That was horrendous. And now they're seeking to recover 300 million rand through the repatriation costs. So I think in this case, Miss Chidimma is going to face the wrath of the law, and correctly so in this instance.
As an immigration lawyer in South Africa, what can you give us a sense of how common such cases are?
This is a common day occurrence where people are arrested and deported. What we've recently seen, in which got a lot of traction, a lot of noise, were mass deportations. So ironically, Ms. Chidimma is getting a lot of attention. Yet the masses, whether the Malawians, Zimbabweans, Ghanaians, Nigerians, were just, crawled together and deported, regardless of whether women were pregnant or whether children were being separated, or regardless of the circumstance. So it is unfortunate that this matter has special attention, because I don't really think it should. I think the focus should be on those mass deportations, because that's abhorrent.
Hello everyone, Ganochisana and welcome to my channel. So that was immigration lawyer Craig Smith on SABC deliberating on Chidimma Adetshina's case ahead of her appearance in Cape Town Regional Court yesterday. Now, am I the only one who was surprised to hear that Chidimma's mother, Anabela Rungo, actually forged a South African birth certificate for Chidimma so she could appear like she was born here? Call me Doomcough, or maybe I wasn't actively listening, but all along I just thought Chidimma's mother was the only one who bought a South African identity document, and then Chidimma just became the born a crime effect. Not that her South African birth certificate was actually forged and made to look like she was born in South Africa. Now, obviously, Chidimma's mother, as a Mozambican national, couldn't have forged an official South African birth certificate on her own. The birth registration must have been fraudulently created, meaning the Home Affairs records were manipulated. Someone at Home Affairs must have assisted her, which explains why the matter went undetected for more than 20 years. And perhaps it was the same official who assisted Chidimma's mother in obtaining a South African ID for herself, using the ID of another South African woman. Now, if all of that is true, that Chidimma's mother forged her birth certificate and she was definitely not born here, does Chidimma actually know this? I mean, yesterday Chidimma Adetshina spoke to the media unprovoked. She refused to take questions but opted to give a statement. In her statement, she said she would like to remind everyone that she was born in South Africa.
Firstly, I would like to say that I'm grateful that I once again have been able to get an opportunity to have my faith in our courts. And I remind everyone that I was born in South Africa. I have applied through the proper legal channels to have my status and citizenship determined. I believe that I have been treated unfairly and targeted, and there has been an attempt to make me as an example. But my message is not going to be one out of anger. South Africa is governed by the rule of law, and we should not allow xenophobia and misinformation to determine how people are going to be treated. We should all be guided by the spirit of Ubuntu. Throughout this ordeal, I have availed myself of all appropriate legal recourse, and I'll continue to respect and abide by each process. Finally, I would like to thank my family, friends, supporters, and my legal representatives for their unwavering support and commitment to my case. Thank you.
So, if it's true that Chidimma's mother forged Chidimma's South African birth certificate, did her mother tell her all of that and she's now playing fake it till you make it? Or is her mother denying those allegations vehemently to a point that Chidimma has no choice but to believe her because she is her mother after all? Anyway, when it comes to the regional court postponing Chidimma Adetshina's case to February 2027, immigration lawyer Craig correctly explained that the regional court was incorrectly hyped to be expected to deliver a judgment yesterday because it can't proceed while Chidimma has a review application pending in the High Court. In the review application Chidimma filed in High Court, Chidimma is challenging the Department of Home Affairs' decision to revoke her South African identity documents and those of her minor son, as well as the declaration that she is a prohibited person. She argues that the decisions were unfair, unreasonable, irrational, and procedurally flawed. So in a nutshell, the High Court needs to make a judgment on Chidimma's review application first before the regional court can proceed, hence the postponement to February 2027. The immigration lawyer went on to reiterate that the regional court doesn't even play much of a role except to determine Chidimma's detention, so we were incorrectly hyped by expecting some massive judgment yesterday from that court. By the way, that interview with the immigration lawyer on SABC was at least 3 days before Chidimma's appearance in court yesterday. So he did correctly predict that there'll be a postponement and that there's nothing the regional court can do before the High Court's judgment. Another important point that I got from that immigration lawyer is that the law is going to give Chidimma a lot of room to move from one court to another, challenging her illegal status, but at the end of it all, she's likely going to be deported. We've seen that with Dr. Nandipha Magudumana moving from one court to another, challenging her arrest. She's still arrested even today. She was arrested in 2023, she's still awaiting trial, and she's going to 4 years. Anyway, do let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching.